Paul, can I just kind of dig into the 72 hours comment?
Yep.
I think from what I've taken out from what you said and what Lee was saying, if you're not posting every 72 hours, LinkedIn effectively drags you down on the algorithm and people see less of your content. Is he saying you have to be posting every 3 days as an absolute minimum?
No, I don't think he was saying that. And this is where that could be a good question for Dean himself. I think I imagine what he means is that you're going to start losing traction. I mean, I've gone sort of posting every week on, if I'm in the mood, and then I get distracted. I don't have it in a process, a daily, bit like this. I know on a Tuesday morning, my alarm is set for 6 o'clock because I know I've got to go for a walk. I've got to prepare. I've prepared the session the day before or the weekend before, but it's a process, and I don't have a process for LinkedIn. I'll admit it. That's why I'm on LinkedIn sporadically. But I think he says that if you're going to do, I think the 72 hours is traction.
Okay, the 72 hours, that it used to be true. It's not true anymore. But it used to be that articles would be up there for a long period of time and you'd get your long-term views from there, and posts would be 72 hours. LinkedIn have changed that since to articles are no longer so relevant and your posts are up there for a lot longer, 2 or 3 weeks, maybe even longer. You can get comments in your post if you've got a good traction on it. Yeah. To answer that question.
Funny enough, Sam Raffling, who was a BNI member, and she does a lot on LinkedIn. I was listening to her podcast this morning, and she was saying the difference between articles and posts was posts for visibility, articles for credibility. And she was saying that articles stay around a lot longer, and they're also Google will index them.
SEO friendly.
So that I thought that was pretty damn good.
The most important thing on LinkedIn, which is your profile page. You can post as much as you want, but if you haven't got a decent profile page where people can know about you, there's no point.
Well, it was in defense of Dean, and by the way, he did go on in the recording to tell us about a £300,000 client he got this year.
Well, he would do. He's a marketing guy, isn't he?
Sorry?
He would do. He's a marketing guy. He's bound to say things like that, isn't he?
Well, hang on. If you're employed, well, in fairness, Marcus, if you've got 42 people employed doing things, you need that sort of business. I mean, so anyway, I don't want to go. I really do not. Hopefully you meet Dean. And Dean wasn't.
He's got me watching this as well. It's on next week. I'm going to get a fucking shit kicking. I am. I know that.
In fairness, you weren't there, and just in defence, it wasn't a. If you've never done LinkedIn before, these are what you need to be in place. He was talking about prospecting and the sales pipeline and that element. And I think you're absolutely right. If people then look at your profile and they're not impressed by it, and so there's lots to be said about a profile. I think that's something we can talk about next week. Anne-Marie.
A couple of comments. I kind of agree with Marcus, but we won't go there today. But what I found is that things that I don't really think about seem to do better than things that I put thought into, which sounds a little bit backwards. But on Friday, I wasn't very well, but I don't know whether anyone's seen it or not, but the books arrived that I've done for my dad with his stories.
Oh, hold it up. Hang on. Let's just get this.
So my dad has got vascular dementia, and he's written some children's stories. So I've put them into a book for him. I've had all the characters illustrated and everything. I've put them into a book, and I'm doing him a launch on the 1st of October because I wanted him to see these in print while he could still appreciate it. Anyway, these arrived on Friday, and I was feeling really rough, but I was so emotional that I just literally went, right, 50-second video going, this has arrived, I'm really emotional, I feel rubbish, but really proud. That has had an incredible amount of views and engagement. I hadn't done my hair, I looked awful, I just went blur, didn't even think about it. Whereas posts that I've gone, let me think about this and put some really proper content into it, just dive. So I don't know whether that's because my content is boring and me looking rough on a Friday with a headache is not, but I don't really know. So that was the kind of like thing that I found with what I've done. The other thing is kind of touching on what Marcus is saying is I am very, very tired of everybody on LinkedIn telling me how I need to do LinkedIn. I think there is a little bit too much out there of people saying, thou shalt do this, thou shalt not do that. And I'm not saying it's not valid, because obviously it is, they've all got businesses, but sometimes there's a little bit of an overload and you just want to go, actually, let's have some sensible conversations about what works, and the rest of it's just fluff, in my opinion.
Well, I think in both cases, it's very good that that's your opinion. It's in your perception, and you're absolutely right. But my observation of what you just said there is that your post about that book, and I definitely like a copy, and I want to know more about that, because next door to me is a dementia centre. Doesn't do much for my Google placement, because you look at mine and it looks I'm operating out the dementia centre, but that could be brilliant. And in fact, with Rod and I, with our involvement in the past with the Lions, we dementia trained, aren't we, Rod? We had a training, and so we know people. And I think to promote that could be absolutely brilliant. Why was that successful? I'll tell you why it was. Because it was you. Because it was you, it was real life, it was authentic, and it was that engagement. It was an engagement post, which is saying, he's saying you should have that. I suppose the business post it's not, it doesn't have to be, he said it shouldn't be corporate, it shouldn't be stuffy, but it should remind people of why they want to have a conversation with you. It's, because if it's all engagement, that's great for your likes and posts. But what about you helping people to get their story out and write their book? So there's a balance. As for people telling people how to do LinkedIn, I suppose that is anything. If you talk about your business in a particular tone, you'll drive more people away. And so the people that are driving people away are not in the right tone. I don't know whether Nick, Andrew, and Andy would agree, and we'll have Mel first, and then, well, I'll have Mel in a second. Would you agree? Do you think his tone was right? Would you think it was a good tone on Friday?
I think he was very he was very direct, which I found quite refreshing, actually. And maybe that's a northern trait, possibly, Paul. You'll be able to
could be. Yeah, I was quite comfortable with that.
But it was very like, boss, this is what you do, and that was quite good because it's very actionable. That's what I found from it. I've heard other people talk about LinkedIn, and some of it's a bit, you think, oh, that sounds brilliant, but how do I do that?
Yeah.
But what Dean did was, this is what you need to do, this is how you do it. So I found that quite refreshing, actually.
So remember, I'm repeating what I got from that. I'm not Dean, and I'm not saying that anybody here should do what Dean has said. I know what I've got from it. Mel, you had a point.
Yeah, going back to Anne-Marie's sort of video, I saw that and I thought it was brilliant, because with all due respect, it looked like, it was all about, the content was about the product, the book, and the background to it. Clearly, Anne-Marie hadn't made an effort. She didn't need to, because it wasn't about her. It was about the book. And I thought it was brilliant.
Thank you. I'll have to do more videos on a Friday with a stinking headache.
Mel, just as you said there, people resonated with it, Anne-Marie, because it was raw, real, unprepared, and in the moment, and that's why it got the engagement, because you didn't spend hours preparing for it.
I think Anne-Marie's posts are excellent. They're excellent because they tell a story. You can tell you're good at what you do. Are you getting any business from LinkedIn? Any conversations?
Yeah, I do. I get quite a lot of messages. I haven't had any messages from American Airmen recently, actually. I must look into that. I used to get a lot of those. I do get quite a few messages from people wanting to have conversations, which is really nice. on the book, just quickly, if anybody does want a copy, let me know, because I'm doing the launch for him on the 1st of October. I'm so excited. He has no idea. It's going to be hugely emotional, and I'm going to get him to sign any copies if anybody wants one. I don't know how much they're going to be yet because I haven't figured that out, but if anyone wants one, just let me know.
And are they going to be on Amazon?
They will be, yeah. I haven't done it yet because obviously I haven't launched it, but I will put them on Amazon. But I've got a box of 50 of them here.
Oh, we'll get them from you.
Yeah, I'm going to get him to sign.
And is it is it aimed at children or adults?
Yeah, so they're children's stories. They're a bit like Mr. Men stories. So Sammy Silly is the main character. He's got 4 friends who all just do silly little adventures, and they're trying to tell the best story to win the village competition. And I've sort of badged it as a read aloud and a read along book. So for younger children, you'd read it aloud, but older children could read along.
That's great. That's great. So what other takeaways did what takeaways did you get from Friday, Andy?
Well, once again, I think Dean's thing was, it wasn't a case of standing on the podium saying, this is what you need to do. It was more a case of, this is what we do, and it actually gets results. So it was, having a stable plan of what you want to do and sticking to it. So you're actually there consistently, and like I say, mixing up the types of posts. So going back to our friend Gary V again, with the jab, 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 and then put the hook in and ask for a bit, a business post, and then a few more socials, answering people's questions, and then another one. So it's about just getting for me, getting what types of posts you're going to do at what time. So for me, I'm thinking I'm going to sit down and create a diary and just write in there, this could be that sort of post. So I know when I'm creating them, what type of post it is for when. So we've got that consistency.
I think that I think there was 4 speakers, and I found him the most interesting one. Funnily enough, the one that I would rate least was the salesperson.
Oh, don't start me on that one. Yeah.
Sorry?
Don't even start me on him. That was,
because having been in the background in sales, then you become, and maybe if you're an expert on LinkedIn, or you've got a lot from LinkedIn, or you're quite happy with where you are on LinkedIn, then maybe there's a reason to be, I don't need all that, or I don't need all that. I'm always open, so I know that I think there's such valuable things. The thing that I got from it most was having a process. I realized it's a bit like you do something part-time and you say you're going to do something part-time, but you don't, you do it sometime. And that's where I am on LinkedIn. I don't do it part-time. If I had to turn up at the local golf club to be behind the bar every Wednesday, I'd have to be behind the bar every Wednesday. I'd have to allocate the time. If I did it sometime, I'd never get there, or I'd be there all the time. I don't know. Nick, and then Marcus.
Yeah, Paul, and I think that's where most of us fall down. It's having a process and then having the energy and putting the time into the creativity that's needed to create the content that people are actually going to find interesting and resonate with. It's all well and good saying I need to have these engagement posts and then I do a business post, but that takes a huge amount of creativity to constantly think up new stuff that people are going to really connect with.
In fairness, you'll have somebody on that team doing that. So
for the people here, Paul, that's that. I don't know. Maybe it's a quick straw poll. I think that's probably where most of us find.
No,
difficult.
I've probably got more time than most, but I'm the same. My challenge in the time, it's the focus of realizing I need to do it.
Yes.
And no, I think you're absolutely spot on there. What about you, Marcus, and then Rebecca?
Yeah, don't overcomplicate it, Paul. That's what I would say. Don't overthink it, like Amu was saying, and don't overcomplicate it. Just get out there, post 2 or 3 times a week, on the good days and the good times. 2 or 3 times a week, write something that's, interesting to you, and connect with people who are interesting to you. That sums it up. That's really what you got to do. But the reason I put my hand up, I was going to share a resource that I listen to a lot. A podcast, of course, by Mark Williams is superb. He's at episode 350 and each one's an hour long, and all he talks about is LinkedIn. He really knows his stuff, and he's very dry, and he's very funny, and he's very British as well. Yeah, it's very good.
That's good. I think the point, I think with all of these things, in any of the subjects we discuss, I think if it sparks something you think I should be doing that and I can do it, or I should be doing that and I can learn to do it, then that's good. I'm the first to say you can't try and do everything. As everybody on here hasn't got the ability to do everything. Funny enough, on Sam Rathling's podcast this morning, she said that she teaches people how to do 10 to 15 minutes a day. 10 to 15 minutes a day, because she recognizes this. Salespeople, 1 to 2 hours. Because let's face it, you are trying to generate leads. If LinkedIn is where you're generating your leads from, and I suppose for many people who have not been able to meet, they want to network, and that's how they get the business, but haven't been able to meet, you either go on lots of networking events, or you can really try and get some leverage out of LinkedIn. I think it's Rebecca and then Anne-Marie. Let's do Anne-Marie. Do you want to do Anne-Marie first and then you think about it? You've probably forgotten. Anne-Marie.
I was just going to quickly say, Nick was saying about content. And I know people say this, and there actually really isn't anything wrong with repurposing content, and I don't tend to do that. But interestingly, there's a lady that has posted the same thing probably about 4 or 5 times with intervals apart, and I saw it again yesterday, and after seeing it about 5 times, I finally commented on it yesterday. So it was nothing special, but it was just the fact that I'd seen it from her that many times. It eventually made me go, oh yeah, okay, I'll comment on it. So there is value, I think, in repurposing content to save you having to think of new content. That's my point.
Yeah, no, good point.
I think, well, I mean, it'd be interesting to see what we'd like to have the second session about, because I don't find content a challenge, I must admit, because if it's not engagement, it could be about business. But having said that, it's probably not as focused as I'd like it to be. One of the things I did pick up from this, which I know intuitively, but I don't do, is that there's going to be some people out there that will be pitching strangers, i.e. outbound, and that's where we get on the end of a sales pitch. It's extremely difficult. I think it's a bit like a cold call for me. It's difficult to say, oh, I'd like you to be part of my network, etc., etc. What he was advocating was to find your target audience or your target market and start following and then commenting, liking on a couple of occasions before you reach out. I think that was, I thought that is a far more preferable way. So that could be part of a strategy that maybe we use. I think it was Ollie first. No, Rebecca, but would you mind, Ollie? Because Rebecca might forget it again. Rebecca, right, you're on.
Yeah, I've remembered now. Yeah, that was the point about, well, I've had so many thoughts. It's so difficult in a Zoom meeting, isn't it, to sort of just have your thoughts there and ready, whereas for me. But that was my point, because I do find it hard to put out lots of content. So I'm sort of thinking once or twice a week, but more importantly, to be on LinkedIn every day, just seeing who's talking about what, in what way, and that kind of thing, and commenting, liking, following new people. And that I found has done, yeah, I've made good connections, and I just know what's going on in Bristol with the architectural and construction scene. And then when I have a conversation with someone, I'm clued up. So it's all that kind of thing.
I think that's an excellent point, Rebecca. That is really, it's not been covered. It wasn't covered on Friday. And I remember I was on an early adopter of Twitter. I'm not a big Twitter user, but I was an early adopter. And I was reminded then that Twitter is more about listening than it is about talking. In other words, it's keeping you up to speed with what's going on. And now that could be communal affairs, it could be architecture, it could be people that you're following, like Dean or whoever you admire or whatever. So that would be included in your 15 minutes or your 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's important to listen.
Yeah.
To know what's going on, because it's amazing how suddenly something will crop up where there's an opportunity to engage. So
and that's where I find like common ground. So something will be happen maybe locally to me, and then it's really genuine when I almost feel like, oh, I have to message that person, and they get back to me, because I'm not faking it. I've been listening around, and it's like, oh yeah, that's really interesting, genuinely. So it seems to work.
Well, I did a short video. I was taking photographs with my phone, and I did a bit of a video, and I put it all together on iMovie, and I put it up by Friday night. I think I was the first up there, congratulating everybody. So that was, again, more exposure. That's why I did it. And this morning I've done something again, congratulating and bigging up Dean, etc. Because I think when you're generous in praise, what's going to happen? And by the way, I'm substituting on Thursday for Vivian again. So that's another exposure. Because I do think we've got a lot to offer the people that go on networking meetings. Because a lot of people are on networking meetings that haven't got a clue what they're doing. They don't know how to get more from it. They keep repeating the same 1 minute. And not surprisingly, nobody's teaching them that, where I know I can teach them and this group can teach them. And Andrew's laughing. But that, I think, is a big thing for wise people. Remember, what I do is basically supporting the crew brand. Ollie, you had a point.
Yeah, I think I have these kind of polar opposite or extremes with, I kind of want things to look really perfect and really nicely designed and things like that when I put them out on my social media. But then I'm also at the other end where I love, like Anne-Marie's one, the things which are a bit more authentic, human, and almost flawed at times. And when I think about my own habits using social media, and if I'm looking particularly to buy something, I won't just look at and sorry to the photographers here, the official product pictures. I'll then look at the, the people who've tagged these products, because then you get to see them in, what they look like in real life as such, that without the studio lighting and things like that. So yeah, for me, it's kind of that. I really struggle with these two kind of extremes of kind of, I really want things to be perfect and right. And then I also like and engage more with the things which aren't. And yeah, I wonder whether anyone else kind of experiences.
That sounds quite analytical. Are you a perfectionist by nature?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah. So I must admit, I think the main thing is that people buy from people, which is the point that certainly Dean made. I think that's what Anne-Marie is doing when she's doing something off the cuff. It's that mixture of authenticity and authority. That's what you're trying to achieve, I suppose. Who is it? I know that LinkedIn is not necessarily a big platform for, say, Rod. Anybody else where they would like LinkedIn to be more of because that feature, I think 61% of you said you'd like to know more about LinkedIn and do more with LinkedIn. Who would like to do a lot more with LinkedIn? Marcus and Anne-Marie seems to have it nailed. Ollie would like to do a lot more. What about you, Debbie? And Andy?
I've been using it for the last month and I'm loving it, actually. I really enjoy it now. It's a lot of hard work to put new posts up every other day. And obviously I'm doing that breakfast club thing. So there's a lot of interactions. So, it's like an hour and a half a morning, which is tiring, but good because I'm getting results from it. All my posts are seeing thousands of views and I'm getting, some private messages from people and so on. I had one person the other day who I'm doing it for free for her because she's going through quite a hard time, but I'm giving her some therapy stuff online, which is nice. And also I had a call with a guy from LinkedIn yesterday, from actual LinkedIn, from the real LinkedIn, and he's now the company is now going to promote a lot of my posts, which is really great. I don't have to pay or anything. So that's really cool, because they obviously like what content I'm putting out. So, that's great. So I'm obviously doing something right. I've found that the ones that get the most views tend to be the ones that I've put that, news articles or something like that, where I've sort of put, I think I've kind of put my opinion on it. And then, like that Breakfast Club thing said, always ask a question. So I always ask a question. And it does get, because people have something to put then, don't they, I suppose. And there are a lot of people with a lot of opinions, I think. So yeah, it seems to be working really well for me. I love it. It's time consuming, but I think it's worth doing, definitely. I mean, I guess it also kind of depends on the business you want to promote, or the sort of area you want to promote, because I think I'm doing sort of the mental health area. That seems to be the in thing at the moment, doesn't it? So but the guy did say, videos are very good. He said live videos are great. They tend to get a lot of traction, a lot of people looking at it and so on. So yeah, I think maybe videos are partly the way to go with
I think live videos are I think there's some condition. I don't think everybody can do a live video on LinkedIn. I don't know what the criteria is. I don't know.
Yeah, LinkedIn are stopping stories, and they're going to be bringing in more live video content. That's why they're pushing that at the moment. That's their company policy.
Apparently, in the article section, again, I heard from Sam this morning that they're about to introduce newsletters. Not per se, so in other words, you can produce it.
Well, not we know them.
Well, the way I am, I hate newsletters because I picture a particular format, but they don't have to be like that, do they? Really? Debbie, do you have do purely about stress and mental issues, or do you your engagement posts? Do you include maybe clips of you singing, or do you do any engagement clips?
I'm not doing singing on LinkedIn. I don't think that music, well, maybe it does, but that's not the area that I want to promote, really. So
engagement post, though.
Engagement.
What he was describing as the softer touch, non-business. It was just what's happening to you in the day, what's happening to your dog or whatever.
I haven't put anything like that up. I've only put up, I do my meditation Mondays, so I stick a meditation video up and so on. I do a post about, I've put a couple of articles up. They haven't done very well, which is interesting when you were talking about how articles aren't necessarily the thing. But then I looked, and one that I put up, I don't know, 2 weeks ago or something, has had more views now than it had done at the time. So obviously, I guess people look back and then look at your profile and then, eventually have a look at it. And then I've put news articles up. I haven't put anything about, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I put, little bits within the write-up on, this is how it's affected me or something like that, but nothing specifically like I went for a walk the other day, nothing like that,
Right. That was, but I think that the articles, and I think the point that you make is if there's something newsy, rather than just post it, you're making a comment on it, you're giving your opinion, or actually you don't need to give an opinion. You can just ask, what does everybody think about this?
Yeah.
And I thought that was quite clever. If you're doing that, then that's good. I think also if you've written an article, you can actually feature it below your profile, which could be a good way. It's that authority thing as well. I'm busy looking at chat. What are the final T? What was the final T and E in taste, please? You'll get a copy of all those slides in PDF form, rather than me try and find it now. Zoe Issa doesn't use LinkedIn that much. Debbie's meditation posts are brilliant and are doing really well. I've just praised Debbie. Yay. That was Anne-Marie. You've got a great supporter. She is.
Oh, can I just say something on some of Debbie's recent posts? Debbie, I think we chatted about this, didn't we? You commented, I can't remember what the news article was now, and I think you put a very personal piece about a relevant news piece, and it got picked up by the LinkedIn editorial news team, and they put it into the LinkedIn newsfeed.
Wow.
I don't know how many views you got from that one, Debbie, but it must have been pretty big.
Yeah, I can't remember how many now, but way over 100,000, a lot of views. Yeah, and I think that might be part of why they want to take me on their creator program as well. Probably because of that, because I think they picked it up, and then they said they're going to use a lot of my posts. They're going to pretty much do that with, and just stick out, and get it across to loads of platforms, and not platforms because it's all one platform, but people. I don't know how that works.
Well,
but yeah.
Debbie, if you've got the capacity to get 100,000 views, you've got to be a course creator. You've got to put something online, whether it's
Debbie, you're playing this down big time.
Am I? I'm just like doing it. There's a Marcus. You tell me about it.
Well,
thank you.
Do you know what? I think your approach, and Anne Marie's, there's nothing wrong with that. It's absolutely fine. Just do something. Do it. If it's important to you to be networking with people, and I guess it is, just do it and then fine tune it, and fix it. I suppose I've been doing that for years. I'm not entirely happy with what I get from LinkedIn, so I either do something about it or I don't. So the point is, if you're out there, you're experiencing it, you're finding out what works, what doesn't work. I think one of the things that was covered on Friday is that, you can think something's not worked, but what you do today, you might end up with a piece of business in 6 months' time, and that's definitely a point there. And I've ended up engaging with people in various ways and said, I watch all your videos, and I'm thinking, I don't even know anybody who watches the damn videos, but you don't know what other people are getting, you being out there, but you just got to be out there with visibility, authenticity, and a certain amount of authority. Marcus?
For Debbie, I would say, looking at your profile page, we did talk about this, the connections. You need to definitely get more connections of the people you want to work with, so you can start leveraging your following to the people that you really want to get a notice to, i.e. get a call to action to it, really.
That's the same, Marcus, as probably if you're making lots of connections, a bit like when you go on a networking event, like on Thursday or whenever, you've got all these people and you don't quite know who to connect with. Right. If you've got some idea, let's say you're thinking, right, I want to connect with those people who are in my space that don't quite compete. In my case, marketing people. In Debbie's case, health professionals. So chiropractor.
Are you connecting, Debbie? Are you connecting?
I mean, that's this thing that I'm questioning, because I've sort of started trying to. I did the over 500, like you said, so I've got more than that now. But I keep thinking, who do I really want to connect to? Because I think, do I want to connect with loads of therapists out there, because they're all doing the same thing as me? They're competition, aren't they?
Okay.
So
that's who you don't want to connect with. So now you don't want to connect with everybody else.
Yeah, literally everyone else. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, true. Good point.
Well, can I add something in there? I think you're basically right on that, but we've got a number of web developers on here. Maybe aiming for different clients, different rates of being busy, different types of clients. I once had 3 photographers in a BNI meeting. And they didn't.
You're not allowed to do that.
Yes, you are. It's acceptable.
Oh, I'd be so upset if you did that to me, Paul.
Well, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you who they were. One was a wedding photographer.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
A people photographer. The other was a landscape photographer that didn't relate well to people, didn't want to do any of that. So if somebody says, can you do a wedding? He would refer it to that other person. And the other person was an aerial photographer. In fact, they didn't have drones there, and had a great big pole.
Very pole, yeah.
And that's all he did. He didn't do the other two. So why wouldn't they want to work together?
No, that's right. That's true, Paul. But, look, whatever, let's not overcomplicate it with Debbie. Do start connect. You know, look at posts, look at the people. You know, you can do the job search on the top of the LinkedIn, and you can do it by the area.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you connect now. Look, with LinkedIn, a year ago, you could connect with 100 people a day. Now it's about 10 people a day, and then they'll cut you off. So don't get surprised if that happens.
Is it 100 a month now?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And now they say, oh, only connect with people who you know. It's like, well, what? What's the point of that? That's stupid, isn't it?
Well, it's not stupid.
Well,
it can benefit their market of it being a bit more targeted.
Sorry, let me tell you why it's not stupid, Marcus. You just said something there. Only connect, why would you want to connect with people you know? How well do you know the people you know? You don't. You don't know how well.
No, that's right. Okay, I use my words badly there, but it's a bit annoying that they have cut down the connections.
Well, I mean, could you handle 100 people? I mean, I don't know whether I could handle 100 unless you were spraying and praying.
Well,
but I think the point you're trying to make you're looking to make with Debbie is quite a good one, and that's what was covered at the start. Who do you want? Who is in your audience? And it's two types of people. It's either an end user or somebody connected with an end user. So I would explore where you're different from other therapists, and who is most likely to deal with people who have got the mental issues or the stress that you can serve. And you need to, if you can work that out, they're the people. That's the fastest route, I think, because they'll know, because they're dealing with people with mental issues, and what you're talking about and your expertise will straight away pop up, and you'll think, wow, this girl knows what she's talking about. This lady, woman, I don't know whether I said the right thing there, but they will resonate that. They'll understand that, they'll get you, and they're more likely to be able to point you. But I think the other point that Marcus makes is, if you're going to be doing hands-on, is it hands-on? Hands-on? Is it face-to-face, or is it over Zoom?
Well, I like to do face-to-face, really, but I will do Zoom.
Therefore, you've got to decide on the geography. And as Marcus says, you can position that. So it's no use somebody from Utah thinking you're the bee's knees. So that's all I would say. But I said, well, if you can get 1,100, if you get that number of 100,000, you're definitely a content creator. You ought to be preparing maybe for the next year or whatever, of course, a membership or whatever, where you're delivering that. Because once you're delivering that is really repurposed content. And if you want to look at what I do, and I've done it from scratch, be delighted to have a session with you, and then choose whichever platform you want to go. But it's not, I put it off for years. It's not as difficult as you think. It's quite easy. Who else had a hand up? Was it Rebecca again, or Anne-Marie, or Anne-Marie, was it?
Well, no, I was just going to say exactly what you said, Paul. If she's done it for a month and got over 100,000 views on a post and been contacted by the LinkedIn team, then fair play. It's just like, wow. I mean, I can only dream of those kind of figures and having a call with the LinkedIn team. So whatever you're doing, Debbie.
Actually, I think you're there for it as well. I think anybody with a talent, I think it's the difference between thinking locally or thinking globally. And who'd have thought that you could be having conversations with people from all around the world, all on one platform, and meaningful conversations, face-to-face conversations. I know we're not personally connected. It's not, you can't reach out and hug or whatever, but they're still meaningful and far better than what we've had before. That's for sure. And if you're not sure how you might proceed, either of you, go and check out YouTube and find people that are doing what you could be doing. Nick.
Yeah, Debbie, can I ask you a question, if that's okay? Do you know why your content has resonated so well with the LinkedIn team, and why they've reached out to you? Apart from obviously it being great content, but have they shared any feedback with you at all? Or
I mean, he said that he obviously realized that it's getting a lot of views and a lot of attention and so on. He said it's a lot to do with the fact that it's mental health, and that's the buzzword right now. So that was the main feedback they gave, really, just that it's obviously doing well, and it's about subjects that they want to be talking about, and it's obviously the way it's working is that it obviously does resonate with people, so he didn't use that word, but
I guess they must have liked your writing style as well, the way you've actually come across.
Yeah, probably. I don't really know, I've not really analysed how I write, but I'm guessing it's quite incorporating, maybe, it brings people in as opposed to standoffish. Well, that's what I'm hoping I do anyway. So yeah.
And Marie would tell you, maybe it's more of a conversational writing rather than corporate speak. Rebecca and then Marcus.
Yeah, it was just, I think that's great about your posts and getting noticed by LinkedIn. And it was a point about the articles, which sort of related, that I was thinking whether it's worth, a bit like instead of doing an article, doing a blog, so that it's yours on your website. A bit like you don't want to do too much work for LinkedIn, because that's also why they're interested, and they want to help you, but equally they want you to help them. So it's like what Marcus was saying, you need the call to action that will benefit you, and get you the work that you want. And that's sort of, I don't know, I feel like with all these platforms, Instagram, Facebook, they all kind of want a bit of you because you make them money. So we've got to kind of retain as much as you can, point back to your website, your thing, where you actually get money out of this, because they do. These platforms.
Well, they in return, I think we've got to remember with all media that they have something that's valuable to each of us.
Yeah.
And they'll let us access that, usually for money. And what they've created is an audience, a following. I think it was on here, they've got, I think I wrote it somewhere, it's about, I don't know how many million people are on LinkedIn in the UK. So they give you access to that audience either by paying for it or by you building up your visibility. And I would have said, without knowing much more, that if LinkedIn are offering to give Debbie visibility, fast visibility, along with what she's getting herself, it's okay. Because in the long term,
no, it's definitely good.
Debbie will have more business she can cope with unless she's got a course or a site. Who else was it? It was Marcus.
Back to Debbie again. Debbie, I think you're missing a trick by not a trick, sorry, that's belittling it. I think you're missing out by not promoting your performance coaching on LinkedIn, because I can totally see how that would apply to the corporate world with people who want to learn how to present themselves really well. And that's a global thing that you could do, as opposed to a local thing that you can do with your hypnotherapy side of things.
But again, I think we're talking about two different audiences, aren't we? I think you're referring back, and I must admit, I thought of that as well. The fact that that's why I asked whether she was doing any performance in the engagement. Yeah. It could be that she's just narrowed down on mental issues for now.
Yeah, for now. But I do think that the training for people to present themselves well in public is something that you do very well, and you've got a great backstory with your, with your music. Obviously, even Ash was really singing your praises. What a great performer you were!
Oh, he was brilliant.
Yeah.
Did he have a point there, Debbie? Have you just put that to one side?
Well, yeah. I suppose I didn't want to put my singing out there as such, because I just feel as though they're two separate entities. I get the public speaking and so on, and yes, I want to promote that. And one of the articles that I put out was about 5 tips on how to public speak, whatever it was, and I had some traction off that, I think, from what I remember. But when you say performance and so on, I don't think I want to sing on there or put my singing videos on.
No,
because I think that's a separate thing.
No, you don't need to.
Yeah, but I don't know how I. do that.
Well, I mean, I don't think you need to. I mean, it could be some video footage in the middle of what you're saying. It's an edit job, isn't it? But without the voice, without the sound. Or it could be a photograph of you holding a mic, or the back of you holding a mic, or whatever. I don't know. If you're doing posts about performance, presenting in front of people, the stress involved, you'd have to think about how that all happened, you know. Rebecca, again.
Yeah, just thinking, because I signed up to a free month of LinkedIn Pro, so I've got access to the videos and things, and I just sort of went onto one. I think it was about speaking, but anyway, it was an American woman and a video, and I was just wondering, maybe LinkedIn might be interested in getting some British accents, and you've got a lovely one, or something like that. You could, you know, if you produce videos about, because those LinkedIn ones, they seem quite good. I only had a look at a couple, but do you know the ones I mean? Is anyone else?
Yeah.
So in LinkedIn, when you pay for LinkedIn, and you often get sent things saying, have a month for free, LinkedIn Premium or something. In that, they've got access, give you access to lots of videos that I guess they've created, but from what I've seen, it's very American focused, so all American accents. But if you're providing something, maybe videos about mental health, not saying your own videos, but sort of saying, I don't know, maybe later down the line or something, they might be interested in employing you to be a LinkedIn premium video maker. That's what I mean. I don't know, you know, it's potential. If you can check it out, ask them if you can get access to premium.
I will, yeah. Okay.
I think it's an interesting one, that, Rebecca. Very interesting. I share a sort of course, not a tutorial. I think Andrew's been on it. We were talking about weight loss, weren't we, when we saw each other? Well, we nearly missed each other. We've lost so much weight.
More meat on the butcher's pencil.
What was that?
I've seen more meat on the butcher's pencil, Paul.
Yeah, I'm 26 pounds down since the middle of June. 26 pounds.
Good.
I'm feeling good. But when I've shared that, it's been staggering. The number of people that come back and say, "Oh, I can't stand the American accent." They perceive it. You know, it's come back 2 or 3 times, and I'm thinking, what? You know, but I'm been used to going over to America. I'm used to Americans, and you know, I don't mind accent. I mean, Birmingham accent grates a little bit. So, but nevertheless, but it's particularly interesting that I get the general. It's a generalization, but an English accent, whatever it is, goes down particularly well in the States.
It does. That's what I was thinking.
Absolutely.
I'm just thinking how, like Marcus was saying, how you can leverage, if they're in LinkedIn, they're interested in you. And if you're onto something with the mental health and you've got performance, you know, how to make people feel more confident in themselves. I mean, that's a really good combination.
I think Debbie needs to think about that. If eventually she's got two sort of product sales, if she likes, or 2 services, she's got to try to weave it in somehow without overpowering or getting people wondering who is this person. Because if you eventually do it, it's going to come as a shock. Oh, why? She just changed. So I think that point you make there, Rebecca, that, you know, there is stress involved in talking with people. You know, there's a mental stress. So I think weaving that in could be quite good.
Well, because one of the videos I watched was about how do you start conversations with people you don't know. Yeah, and in that she talked about, you know, feeling anxious, feeling shy. So, I mean, it's all related. Public speaking is about feeling confident. So it can be that angle.
I think also putting yourself out there is a matter of, well, it's that confidence. If you don't have the confidence, you probably don't have the competence. You need to increase that. Clearly, Debbie has got that through her years on the stage and also the training that she's had. And the more she does that, the more confidence that grows. But I think also what comes in as to why we hold back is perhaps something I hear a lot is the imposter syndrome. Why me? Why would anybody want to listen to me? Why would anybody pay for what I have to say. And I think that's taking ourselves for granted and not hearing enough from other people saying how good they think you are. So I think it's easier. You very often see something in somebody that they don't see in themselves, and that can be very frustrating. You see much more about the individual than they see in themselves. They limit, for somehow they're within their comfort zone and they don't want to stretch. They don't want to be rejected for whatever reason, etc. And probably Debbie could give us more insights into that at some time. I'm going to show you just a couple of other things that just while I've got that, it's rather than a separate subject, then I'll just go and find out what everybody thought about today's meeting. And so I'm going to go back to, before I do that, hang on. Last week, I told you what I was going to do at the crew in terms of a business card, and I ended up producing something that size.
Oh, nice.
I did the text differently. Need to talk about your marketing, then join the conversations at Marketing Crew. And then on the back was our 5 stages, and then that code, if people click that, it goes straight into their address book if they want it. So they don't have to scan a code, retype, they don't have to retype anything. They can just scan that and my details go in there. And I think I gave you the link to that. I'll give you again in the links in the notes again. But I was interesting to see something that I'm going to share now. Just a minute. Can you see that? Mm. It was that. And that is available from your LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
If you click that, you go straight to my, so if somebody wants to connect on LinkedIn, you can go click that and then they immediately are connected on LinkedIn. And I'll show you where it is. If I go on my LinkedIn, can you all see on my LinkedIn there? On the right, there's a little that looks like a QR thing. If I go to that pops up. So I can go straight to my LinkedIn, show somebody that, or it says share my code, save to photos.
That you, Paul?
Cool. Yeah,
I've not seen that before.
Good. That's good. I never knew that.
I think that's fairly new.
Yeah, I use that.
It shows you how important QR codes are becoming. So if you just go to the top of there, download it, and you can use it in signatures, or you'll find different ways to use it. Chris?
Yeah, Mike, the Nick from Nickel Design was talking about this advice card. So a virtual card that you can program what details you want. You tap it onto people's phones, all that detail goes straight into their phones. I'm going to get one of these through Mike in the next few weeks to try it out. So it has your logo on it, and you keep the card. And when you go to exhibitions and things like that, instead of bringing 1,000 dog-eared cards with you, all you have to do is tap your plastic card on people's phones, and they have all your details.
I don't know how much they are. I've looked at those. You've got to be able to find it, and obviously at a networking meeting. But there's no reason why you can't design yourself a little card that's got your picture, your name on, and your QR code, and say if you want to connect further and stay in touch, just scan that. It's the same thing, in my view, without the code. So, right, I just want to go around and see what is traditional as to what you've got from today's meeting. And we'll start with Marcus, and probably on the edit, I will take out the comments because just in case Sean is here next week and wants to see what was taught this week, I'll edit that out. Marcus, what about you?
But in that case, I'll start off with an apology then. Sorry, I really like LinkedIn, and obviously, you know, I know all about it. So I apologise for taking over, and if any, I might have insulted anybody. But I did like that QR bit at the end. I didn't know that, so that's very good.
Well, that's good. Sometimes when we know a lot, it can be a barrier.
And one more thing, Paul. If you want to connect, you can with your LinkedIn posts. They can be connected to Twitter with a little tick, and all your LinkedIn posts will go to Twitter.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's good.
Please.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
And by the way, Marcus came and did my photographs, which was great. I live in South Horrington, behind an old paupers and lunatic asylum that's now converted into apartments where my journalist friend, who writes on fashion and social issues, is. And we ended up doing a shoot there. He came back to do a shoot for the band he's formed. He's got a very good relationship with the editor of Arena who wants to do an article. He's the Banksy of the music industry because nobody's heard the music yet. He came back. I was the tea boy and the reflector holder. Apparently, they love the photographs. And one of them is going to appear in Arena Harm with credits to Marcus. So the point I make there is you just don't know who people know and how those innocent connections, what they can lead to. So that's going to be great. Andrew, what about you?
Yeah, I thought it was really useful to go back through. Obviously, I was there on Friday and saw Dean's presentation, but to go back through it as well was really useful. And I think Andy actually hit it nail on the head. It wasn't a case of Dean's attitude wasn't sort of my way or the highway. This is what you do. It was very much, this is what we do. This does work for us, which was, as I say, I found it quite refreshing. So yeah, I thought that was very useful indeed, and it's useful as well. And fair shout to him as well for sharing his slides. I thought that's very very good.
Generous, and I'm sure that what I'll do is I'll put it in the members site, the audio of that for people that then can listen. Because if you've got the app as well, you can have it on your walk or whatever and just listen. And it's quite refreshing to go back through that. Sometimes the second time you go through things, you just pick up things you missed the first time. Nick.
Yeah, thanks for the recap, Paul, because I missed a lot of Dean's presentation on Friday because I was kind of concentrating elsewhere with the photography. But I think, you know, for most of us, LinkedIn is definitely our chosen social media platform, isn't it? It's the one that we can get the most benefit from. And I think it's, for me, I think you've kind of reinforced and clarified about the importance of process and getting that balance between the business and the personal.
Yeah.
And yeah, just got to get committed to it and get on it and get started doing it.
John's got such a business, he's got people doing it for them. You made a good point. We've got a limited amount of time. So there we say, well, I'm going to do this sometime and not get much from it. Or I'm just going to say, right, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm going to give an hour. That's it.
It's a habit, isn't it, really? It's getting into the habit.
It's whatever suits you. And I made that point. I was very much embarrassed on Friday because I suddenly met this guy. I thought, I know him from somewhere. And I said, where do I know you from? And he said, marketing crew. And that was Martin, because, and not surprisingly, because the lighting is not brilliant on Martin. He sits way back and he's so laid back and casual that he's not as easy to recognize. But I hope you weren't upset with that, Martin. It was great to see you on Friday. Martin, what have you got from today?
Yeah, it was just, I enjoyed that talk on Friday. I thought that guy was really knowledgeable. So, and it was good to recap it today. And also I realized the process that you have to go through to get something out of it. You know, you have to kind of dedicate time. But I think it's a really good channel. So, but it was great to focus on it today after Friday, I think.
That's good.
Yeah.
Anne-Marie.
I was just looking at Martin's background. I can't remember who it was that told you to tidy it up, but we were in the same meeting and someone told you to tidy your background up. And I'm just thinking you obviously have. It looks very, very tidy behind you there, Martin.
Yeah, I did try.
Who was that? I can't remember who told you.
Yeah, Peter. It was a guy called Peter.
Yeah,
he's a nice chap. But,
it was a little bit awkward, I felt, but anyway.
Okay.
Sorry, I digressed. Yes, a couple of new podcasts to listen to. Thank you for the recommendations. Yeah, just incredible to hear everybody's experiences and stories and how they're making it work for them. Lots and lots of valuable tips to go away with. Thank you as ever.
It's a good job you're not looking at not the background to the right. I've got about 7 shirts to iron, and I've got the ironing board out and the iron ready to be plugged in. So such is the challenge of a man living on his own. Rod, another man living on his own.
I've done mine.
You've done yours.
I've done mine, yeah. I'm okay. I'm in awe with Debbie, of course. I mean, 100,000 views. That's unbelievable, isn't it? Christ almighty. If she was in the room, I'd be kissing her feet. But as she's not, you're in the clear. And I thought Friday was great. It was interesting. Nice to meet various people that are on here, you know, and nice to get a rub off of Chris. That was good. Although he did interrupt my flow with a nice young lady. Having said that, it may have helped. Who knows?
I've got a video of you multitasking there, massage and chatting somebody up. Mel, you missed a great do on Friday.
Yeah, unfortunately, I couldn't do that. I'm at the piece on content sandwich about business posts and engagement posts, because that's exactly what I'm doing. And I've just totted up it, and I've done 26 posts in the last 6 months, which obviously equates to 1 a week. And it's a combination of various things. What will recruitment look like after COVID? What's a personal brand? So it's a combination of things. And I also comment, like, and follow on a daily basis. So I'm quite active on there.
Oh, we've got Eddie's in the picture there above you. Thanks for that, Mel. I think actually the challenge, you sought the challenge of interviewing people. So I don't know if you've done it, but some of the problems that you have with interviewing, you know.
Yeah, I put 2 lots of questions on there. I put 5 questions a candidate would ask, and sort of 5 difficult questions a candidate would potentially answer. And I think that went down well.
Good. Andy.
Yeah, I'll go back to what I said, which is just process of blocking out the time, like I said, 2 or 3 days a week, actually creating the posts, and obviously just then maybe planting the seed and getting ideas for the next one. But I think if we don't find the time to do it, we just won't do it. So yeah, that's my challenge.
I think what I'm going to be doing this week is actually planning out how I'm going to do that, and then maybe we can share that. And if I can get that engagement document, I'll send that out, and cool. We can all prepare. You know, just see what you'd like to cover in that LinkedIn before we move on to the next subject. Debbie.
Yeah, it's always very interesting. I think because this doing LinkedIn is obviously it's worth doing. I think it's good fun, but it's working out what to put down in every session. And I think, not session, sorry, you know what I mean, every morning. And I think, it's preparation, isn't it? Really, preparation is the key. And it was interesting the slides that you put of, you know, the different types of things that he said you should talk about. So I think it's like ticking off each one of those every other week.
Well, I mean, he just shows what his experience is over many years. By the sound of it, your meditation sessions that might be just what it takes. And at least you're going out there doing it and then seeing how you can fine tune it. That's the best way. That's how you learn to ride a bike. You wobble about and fall off and wobble about and fall. And then suddenly you get a direction, and then you realize you're not actually going where you want to go. So you learn to maneuver and move around, and then you become really good at riding a bike. Ollie.
Yeah, that was really good. I need to stop being quite so precious about things and LinkedIn, and just get on with it. I'm pretty good with Instagram and generating work through that and connecting with people, but I think majority here have said it's just forming a habit around LinkedIn and just making that time every week just to get on it and post something that kind of I like the TASTE acronym, the kind of elements of there. I think the teach and educate, and I think that's a really useful kind of tool. So thank you.
That's good. Rebecca.
Yeah, really interesting session. Gave lots to think about. and that LinkedIn is, yeah, really valuable tool, definitely. I think just staying focused on whatever content I put out, what sale am I after? I think that's got to be, although that sounds a bit too much of an agenda, but who do I want to be engaging with, and really thinking about that. Otherwise, I'm sort of wasting a lot of time.
Yeah. I think on this engagement template, he covers a lot about what are the challenges that your target audience has, and really delve deep into that. So it's not rocket science, but he does it in a particular way. And how can you help with those challenges with content? I think that's the gist of it. Thanks, Rebecca. And finally, Chris.
Well, yeah, thank you for today. I'm sorry I was running late today. I will catch up on the recording and watch that later, because I really enjoyed what Dean showed us on Friday. I thought it was amazing. I'm particularly pleased today that everyone's been banging on at Debbie about doing something that weaves her stuff into these posts. She hasn't had one post that's done over 100,000. You've had at least two, haven't you now? So it wasn't a coincidence that LinkedIn got in touch, and I think you should be trying to work out what you can do so you can weave some engagement, because I want people to connect with you rather than you trying to connect with them.
And I think Debbie's taking a break for a few weeks to do more meditation, but as said, she will be back. But whatever, we all need to make sure we stay connected on LinkedIn, wherever that takes us. And we'll just wait to see the rising star be there for everybody. Yeah, there you go, Andy. Great for everybody. And I'll get this edited recording up a bit quicker than I got last week's. Is everybody able to get into the content? Do you know how to do that?
I think I've got.
Because basically you should have it where you just go in, you've got your name and your password that you set if you're not sure what that is. I think what I'll do is I'll get a link out to everybody to make sure you've got that, because there's some really good content there. I think we've got over 50 hours of video content, but it can be that, and it's always placed where it should be in the 5 steps. So have a great week. And for those of you on the Bristol call on Thursday, I'll see you there.
See you there.
All the best.
Yeah, I won't be here next week, Paul.
That's fine. Okay.
With sunny Cornwall.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Can you guarantee it was sunny? Have fun.
Yeah. Thank you. Have a great week.
Cheers.
Have a good week, everyone. Cheers,
Bye.
Paul. Yeah. Have a really good